Charles Hood is joining us. I'm your host, Doug Sidney. Night Owls is his film. Wow, this is a great one. We're going to talk about your film process as a filmmaker, co-writing this script with your co-writing partner and directing it as well. But first of all, Night Owls came together. What a cast.
Yeah.
What a cast. Television stars, film stars, Adam Pally, Peter Krause, Minnesota native Peter Krause, Rosa Salazar, and Tony Hale from Arrested Development.
And Rob Hubel.
And Rob Hubel as well. Talk to us about, you wrote your script on a smaller scale because you knew you wanted to bring out some amazing performances.
My writing partner and I were looking for sort of small ideas that we could explore because we knew we had to work from a smaller budget, but we wanted to, explore big ideas within this small space. And so, hopefully that's what we were able to do.
And the impetus, you've executed it excellently. You come from a producing and directing background out in Los Angeles. Tell us why you and your writing partner wanted to and decided to do something on your own and what those parameters were.
My writing partner Seth and I, we met at USC Film School.
Yep.
We were both freshmen there, and we've been writing for the last 7 or 8 years now, and we've been writing stuff trying to sell scripts. Okay. And then it got to a point where I've always I directed a very small feature before and a couple of shorts. And I decided that we should write something that we can just make on our own instead of trying to sell it off to studios it was time to get back behind the camera again and do it ourselves. So it was built out of the restrictions. We decided to write something small.
And from that came a story that is in a house. You have 2 locations, right? The first one you get out of the way right away. And then you're in your final location with basically your 2 actors, and it becomes a story about people with a pretty amazing arc. Now, I know that when we spoke earlier, you don't want to talk too much about thematics and themes involved in the story because they're evident for audiences once they see the film. But talk to us about being in that location and executing all that and what went into that and making that happen.
I like to try not to reveal too much about the story because I think it's great for the audience to see sort of where it goes, and there's some surprises. I think that was something that we wanted to do with a limited setting was to let the story kind of unfold in a way that people are trying to figure out what's happening as it goes. That was part of having that limited setting was to keep it interesting for the audience.
Was that a challenge as writers, or were you 2 on the same page in formulating that story?
Yeah, it was from the very beginning. We knew, look, we're gonna do a movie that basically takes place in a house, all in one night, and so it was. We tried to challenge ourselves. I think the challenge was there for us to try to keep it interesting and funny and light on its feet and try to explore some interesting themes and stuff.
Absolutely. Now, you talked to me earlier about the specific challenges that being in that one location presented to you. Talk to our audience about how you tackled them. You had certain challenges that you had set up for yourself in that one location, and in terms of using that space and utilizing all that, tell us about that and what went into the planning for that.
Yeah, I think we knew because it's another thing where we knew it was just this one house, and so we wanted to explore the space as much as possible. And so when Seth and I were writing it, we worked on the script for 2 years before we finally shot the movie, and it was fine-tuning it, and it was about keeping these 2 characters, basically 2 characters in the movie, just keeping them on moving around and exploring different parts of the house so it doesn't get boring. You don't just have 2 people sitting talking for 90 minutes. And so it was about finding things that they could do and activities that they could do while they're talking, and it was working from those limited settings, those issues with the limited setting. And then when we were shooting it too, my cinematographer Adrian and I, he's amazing, and he and I were very specific in making a detailed shot list of trying to shoot the movie in a way that we're moving the camera around, we're moving the actors around, and keeping it interesting so that, again, I don't want to bore people. It's like, if you hear the movie's just 2 people talking for 90 minutes, it sounds like it could be boring, but I think hopefully we were able to make it, fun and interesting.
Yes, so from both a writing standpoint and a production and shooting standpoint, you kept in mind that audience vantage point, and you were thinking how we're going to keep this interesting and make this interesting. from that look into it. And as a result, this film is going places. You've shared with me some great news. You have distribution.
Yeah.
This is getting an even wider audience, and then we're going to talk about you being here specifically at the Film Fest. So talk about where the film is at right now.
Yeah, well, they haven't officially announced it yet, but the release date is December 4th, and we're going to play in theaters in 15 cities. And it'll go, I think it's day and date, so is what it's called. So it'll play on video on demand at the same time. So it'll be in December everywhere, and then also in theaters.
Both outlets.
In 15 cities.
Both outlets, which is and December is a huge screening month.
I know, yeah, we're really lucky. I mean,
That's
hopefully,
awesome.
yeah, we can get some people's attention and get them to see it.
That's awesome. Now, speaking of attention, one of the things that grabbed my attention first and foremost about your film, the poster art.
Oh, yeah.
What an incredible piece of work that came up, and posters can say and tell so much about a film. Talk to us about the story, how that came to be.
Yeah, oh, thank you very much. I'm glad you liked the poster.
It's so great.
Yeah, you know, there are a few poster artists that they do these kind of really artistic looking posters. They're not the ones you kind of usually see in movie lobbies. They're I don't know, they're special. And so there's this one artist in particular named Jay Shaw, who I think is amazingly talented, and I've been a huge fan of his for years. When it came time to do our poster, through a friend of a friend, I was like, okay, I want to get in touch with Jay Shaw and ask him if he'd do this movie, and he doesn't usually just take, you know, submissions, and so he watched the movie and loved it and wanted to do it, and so we were so lucky, and yeah, I think he really captured the spirit of the movie, and yeah.
It's simplistic in its design, but it says a ton, and again, we're not going to go into it, but we talked about it, what it's saying about the characters on the poster in the film, and I absolutely love the font. The font is saying so much, it's working so perfectly with that title.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's got the moon and the O,
and
yeah, it's great.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now, finally, you are kind enough to be joining us here at the Twin Cities Film Fest. You do have a Minnesota connection.
Yeah.
That Minnesota connection and some other connections are here tonight.
Yeah.
Tell us who that is, if you would, and tell us what it's like to be here for that reason this year.
Well, I have my grandmother and my aunts and uncles all live here. My mom grew up here, and so my mom and all of them are here, and my cousins too, and so it's really great, awesome chance to play here in Minneapolis.
They're here.
It's important to me to play here. It's great.
Yes. Well, once again, it means so much that you're here. We can't wait to see it. You are providing that pedal to the metal on the 10th day of programming for us. Night Owls is set to screen here at the 2015 Twin Cities Film Fest. You're going to be able to see this again on demand and in 15 different cities throughout the U.S. in its release in December. We're going to see you again on the Go 96 FM red carpet. Thank you.